You ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn. Hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Nexus Trolls. We're doing a special interview today outside of our normal time slot because we had the opportunity to talk to Superjova, the creator of Chair League and the current runner of Chair League as well. He was actually our first guest ever on the show, I think back in episode 6, because if you have been watching the show long enough, he was an old teammate of Shiz's, one of the old hosts of the show. And that was the first connection we had with someone, in the community and someone willing to come on to the show. And he graciously enough, I guess, had a good time the first time around because he's agreed to come back again for a second go. Superjova, welcome to the show. It's good to have you back, bud.
Hey, good to be back.
So we've got a new season of Chair League that just started this week. So we said, hey, this is the perfect time to get Superjova back on. But for those of our listeners who've never heard of Chair League, what's it all about, Superjova?
Well, Chair League is an online recreational league for gamers. So think about your basketball, soccer, whatever you got in your local town, convert that to gaming, and that's what we have online. Strangely enough, something that really has been missing for a long time, and it's something that I just want to see shine and come to light in this community.
Yeah, and Chair League specifically is one thing that got me more involved in the community. I think my friends list went from like 1 or 2, it was like my brother and my cousin, to like all of a sudden joining Chair League. Like it's like my friend list exploded. That's how I met Liqiud. That's how I met Shiz. That's how I met Mystic too. I think it's pretty safe to say if it wasn't for you, Superjova, this podcast would never be happening.
Come on, boys. Come on.
No, you know what? I have to side with Daz on this. If you hadn't created Chair League, I definitely never would have met Daz. And yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to come out and say, like, I met my wife or husband through Chair League, because then I would hope I would at least get invited to the wedding, or I'd crash it if they posted the address.
It's only a matter of time. You might have a bit of a problem because there's a very high male to female ratio in general in HOT, so it might be a little bit difficult statistically speaking, but hey, you never know.
Depends where you live, you know. Maybe that's what you're into, so I'm sure there's a wedding.
That's true.
That's true.
So we'll keep our ears to the ground for that one, and we'll let you know if we hear of anything.
Someone retweet it and add me.
If you met your significant other, definitely, tweet it at Chair League. That's what Superjova's official handle is on Twitter for Chair League. So why don't we just get right into the interview then? So why did you start Chair League? Is it just because you saw that need for this kind of like beer league esports bit for the
it was sorry to interrupt, but it was something I saw a long time ago where, why were there only like 4 teams in the entire HOTS community enjoying, competitive play that's organized and weekly schedules and stuff like that. And I also, at the time that Blizzard was doing, I forgot even what their old league was called, but it just didn't seem like it was something that anybody could even be in. So I was like, hey, I see bowling leagues, I see soccer leagues, let's get this going. And the original thought for anybody who hasn't heard this story before was just, can me and my friends play maybe 4 teams once a week for 4 weeks and see what happens? Like we were all really into HOTS at the time, and that we'd play it every night anyway. So I thought, well, let's just play against other people. And I don't even remember what it was like back then. Like I think that was when Team League was only a group of 5 and Hero League was. It was. I don't even remember actually. It's so long.
There's been so many changes to the game too, right? It's so tough to keep
track
of
them.
There have
been. And we're already in Heroes 2.0, so it's like I can't even remember what the thought process was. But I wanted to build a community. I wanted to get people going and get playing, and I thought that'd be exciting. Even if you got like a little, little ribbon at the end, like, oh, my Chair League champion, and you held that to the camera. Like I would have been excited if it just turned into that.
Well, I think it's safe to say it's exceeded probably your expectations too. It's been going strong for what is this, 4 seasons, 5 seasons now?
5. This is 5.
5 and 6, if you want to say that there are 2 different leagues going on right now. So, but we can call it just 5.
I'm looking. So I was happen to be on the chair league site because I'm casting tonight, and I always keep it up while I'm doing that. And I just went into the team that I created way back when, and because I was like, man, I'm pretty sure that we started season 1, and we did all 4 seasons. Real life got in the way of season 5, but yeah, it's I've been around for a while, and I'm happy you created this.
So you alluded to what I think is the biggest success about Chair League is that it keeps a history of your gaming. You know, whatever you did, there's your user, there's your what team you were on and when and what league you played on. Go to any other website that does that. Crickets. I don't know why, but it's such a simple concept. Just keep that record. And like people always like, oh, I want to change my team name. I'm like, you can't, because then you can at least remember I played on that team in season 1. Wow, they're still around. But if you let people change their names all the time, then you're going to lose that characteristic that you built maybe in season 1 all the way to now. And there's like right now, House of Ches, they're like team ID 30, and they're in season 5 right now. And it's just like, that's cool. At least I get a kick out of it because I see the teams, but you guys probably have some names around that you might recognize.
Well, oh no, there's a bunch I do, both from playing them and then casting them later, starting in season 2. But yeah, House of Ches being one of those for sure.
It's interesting to be able to follow people's paths too, guys. I mean, like roster apocalypses are not something that Chair League doesn't see as well, right? Just like HGC, people shuffle around. I'm not sure if I've ever been on, like throughout the seasons we've done, 3 or 4, I guess now, had the same lineup for all 4 seasons. So it's interesting to see that kind of like lineup as well. So Superjova, what's different about this season compared to prior seasons too? Because we've had a bit of a break between last season and this season, and a lot of people may not have signed up for this season yet. I know I've said that it's already started too. Is it too late to sign up?
No, you can sign up anytime until week 6. So right now, week 2 schedules went out for Tuesday, and that might not make sense to anybody. So let's back it up for a second and talk about what's different. So season 1 of Chair League was Mondays and Thursdays, and how that worked is you would sign up and you had a 50-50 chance, depending on your rating, what you were going to land on. Were you going to land on a Monday where you had to play, or Thursday that you had to play? And that was pretty good, but the issue was always like, oh, I only wanted to sign up for the Monday league or something like that. And I ignored all those facts. Oh, they only want to sign up for one of those days or whatever. So I ignored that. And with the success of season 1 and how we were getting 350 viewers somehow in an initial scale of things, it was pretty amazing. So I thought, okay, we really got something here. So I wanted to do, well, if we can spread those viewers across 5 days a week. And that's where the idea of Monday through Friday came to be, where you could sign up for the league, and every week you'd get scheduled based on your or your scheduling that you put as your team's preferences, and we'd match you with a team who also played at that time. Long story short, right? And the viewership did not translate into the 5 days a week thing, and we did that 3 more times in a row. The 5 days a week, you might play Monday, you might play Friday, you might play sometime in between. And when it got to the end of that, of 3 times doing that, I took a step back and just wanted to think, what was I trying to build? When I started this, what was I trying to build? Was I trying to make something easy to be in, or something that you're so super flexible that really there's no commitment that you ever made? So when I looked at that, I was like, okay, something's got to change, because I'm feeling the pains of it. There's a bunch of people feeling the pains of it, regardless if you agree with that decision or not. We went to now only playing on Tuesdays if you play in that league, or Thursdays if you play in the Thursday night league. And so the benefits to that is you now can plan ahead. Unlike any season before, you can know going next week, when are you going to play? Oh, well, I joined the Tuesday league. I'm probably going to play on Tuesday. Actually, I'm for sure going to play on Tuesday.
Right.
So that's the biggest change. And what that allows me to do is now you can play HOTS twice a week, compared to the flex scheduling Chair League had before. You could only play once a week, because it would be impossible for the machine to know when to schedule you. Hey, you could figure it out, but imagine if you joined 2 leagues that both played Monday through Friday. Who's going to have the biggest headache? You guys are going to have, as the players, going to have the largest headache, going, oh, we're only available Tuesdays, and so is the other team on both nights. We can't play at that time. So and I always knew that I wanted to get multiple nights a week. It was actually feedback from season 1. One of my closest friends said it was actually pretty annoying to get 5 people together and you only do it once a week. He's like, I took all that time to do it, so why can't I like have more games? And so that's where best of threes came from. That's where Tuesdays and Thursdays came from. All from the idea that people do play video games every night, so why not do it on Chair League?
And one interesting thing is, as you've been growing Chair League over the seasons too, one thing I've heard on a podcast was you know you're successful when you get your first like bad review and like 1-star review, right? There's always going to be, as soon as you grow, people start caring about something so much that you hear a lot more voices come out. So I know that a lot of things that you did, the changes this season, were received well by some people on Reddit and by others not so well too. I am a big fan of the changes you made. It makes it a lot more convenient scheduling just one day, be like, okay, that's my night. I've got like kids swimming lessons Tuesday nights, I've got like hockey on Wednesday nights. Now I can be like, now Thursday nights I've got cheerleading. I don't have to worry about what night am I going to play on. I don't know until the week before. I find it a lot easier, but you're always going to have your haters come out. So I mean, one nice thing is that it's nice to be able to hear the reasoning behind these things, and I think a lot of people jump to conclusions. Especially too, the other controversial change you made as well is you made it paid for play as well, as opposed to being a free league in the past. Do you want to talk about that at all? Maybe get anything off your chest there?
Yeah. So it's been a financial struggle to run Chair League this entire time. First season, out of pocket everything, and the T-shirts always paid out of pocket. Website costs always paid out of pocket. Lawyer costs always paid out of pocket. Hiring developers and designers always paid out of pocket. And it got to this point that I just couldn't do it anymore. And I always thought about, it was like season 2. I thought, is this the time? But I didn't have an idea. And then season 3 comes around. And I'm like, I'm not doing season 3 without charging. And I thought about it, couldn't figure it out. I was always trying to be too clever. I was trying to think, well, maybe if you could do a subscription-based service where you pay nothing and you get 1 league for free, and then you pay $5 a month and you get unlimited for that amount. And so it's like, it was too complicated. I pitched it to people, asked what they said, and in the end, people were like, how do rec leagues do it? I'm like, oh, you just pay to sign up. And they're like, yeah, I'd rather do that. I'm like, oh. So the answer is just as simple as how do rec leagues work, And so not really, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Just copied the rec league model of, hey, this is what it costs to run the league. If you want to be in it, it's as simple as that. One of the unique things about how it works, though, since you can sign up anytime during the league, it starts off at $24 for all 8 weeks, and as a week goes down, the price reduces by $3 every week. So when people sign up right now for Thursday night league, they're actually going to pay $21. When someone signs up for Tuesday, because the second week has already been scheduled, they're going to pay $18. So the price will reduce until 6 weeks, where it cuts off, and I don't know, that's $6 or something to sign up for the final 2 weeks and a chance at playoffs.
That's funny. I was wondering why it was $24. I was like, wouldn't 25 made it easier? Because then, by 5 players. But then I was like, oh, hey, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, for sure.
Originally 25, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'm looking at the math, I'm writing it out. I'm like, 485,
yeah,
or whatever. I can't even think right now. But it was just like such a weird number to reduce every week, and I'm like, you know what? Let's take some math here. 12 is one of the numbers under 20 that has the most least common factors or whatever, like or
common denominators or denominators.
Yeah, whatever. But 1, 2, 3.
It's been a while since we've been in high school math, right?
12. So then when you take 24 is double 12, meaning that it has at least 2 more of those numbers in there. It's like, that makes sense. It's easy to divide. The only time that it's hard is when you have 5 people and 7 people on your team. But if you have 8 and 6, pretty easy.
Works out well.
So that was my thought process and why it's $24. I wanted to do a higher price, but then at the end of the day, it wasn't about the money. It was just something that I wanted to ensure that it could pay for the costs. And so like I think the original question that you asked was, how was the response and how did that make me feel? Oh, it sucked 100%. Sucked. But I think I've learned this lesson repeatedly amount of times, but when you're the top of the pyramid, everyone's looking at you. So I make this decision, I make that decision. Might not be understood by everybody, but where does the energy go that that decision has brought up? So it just goes straight to the top of the pyramid, and I deal with it. But I think we got through it. I just posted like, this is my thought process behind it. This is why I did it. Like, I've been talking about it with several people over the duration of like that 2-month gap. And what people don't know is there was a 2-month gap that all I did was spend 36 hours every weekend working on Chair League, and every night I got home from work on Chair League, and and then you get to the end of it, and everyone shit talks your website and calls it garbage, and you're just like, well, what did I do? I'm just trying to like continue to build this thing that a lot of people love, and I think even the haters love it too, because that's why if like this is my example. I don't drink Coke, so if they raise the price of Coke by $1, I wouldn't give a crap. But if I loved Coke, I'd probably be angry that they raised. So I understand completely that if anyone's mad, it's not out of hatred or that they really think that the website is shitty. Even that's their opinion, and I respect it. But yeah, just learn that emotions, even positive emotions, can be read in different ways. And so it's cool to see like something you've built that everyone reacts to, and you post something on Reddit and you get downvoted because of whatever the decision is and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's just kind of funny.
Reddit can be a tough thing to deal with sometimes. The internet in general, I mean, it's a blessing but a curse in a lot of ways. I feel like in general, with so much free content out there on the internet, people somewhat feel entitled to having everything be free. So whenever you change something from going from a free service to a paid service, you're naturally going to get some sort of backlash. We've defended you on the show as well in some of the decisions you've made, because I remember reading in Reddit, people will be like, "Oh, server. I work in sysadmin. Like servers don't cost that much." I'm like,
servers cost 14 cents a year.
I know.
Like,
those guys. Like I had to at one point I had to mute the server. So I mod the Chair League server, and at one point I had to mute it because I was just like these guys are killing me. Like, what do you? I run web servers and it doesn't cost. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you learn everyone's a water cooler quarterback or whatever that's a Monday morning QB, and so it's hard when there's so much negative information and false information out there, because people make claims that aren't true and they spread these things that never have been said, and then that information, you just start seeing it be regurgitated, and it goes off on these like infinite amount of chains into the wrong hands, and you're just like, well, that's not how it works. I'm glad you're spreading the news about it. That's not how it works. And you eventually learn that like you take feedback with a grain of salt, because some of it wasn't based off of what they're actually interpreting it as, and some of it you try to filter through and go, oh, this guy, that's how he feels. How can I put this over here in my workbench and fix that problem? So, and then at the end of the day, there's also a compromise that need to be made with what do I want as someone building it and putting everything towards it versus what does someone else want. So it is like it's a balancing act, and I feel like it has been. I don't agree with map bans, but they exist now. I don't think that's a thing that should be in the league, but overwhelming amount of people have complained that that's something that they want. Well, now we have it. Next up at that is hero bans, which I'm sure will never happen, but hey, we'll keep fighting that one too.
Yeah, and I mean, we all think you've done a great job with what you've put together, and I think a lot of things that people don't realize is how much time and effort goes into it. People will say, "Oh, like you can put together a site like Chair League in like a weekend, right?" And they don't realize that you are putting in a lot of evenings, weekends. You're like spending a lot of your free time on this project. You're entitled to have some sort of recompense too. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in having something that I know you're not necessarily looking at it to be a profit generator, but there's nothing wrong even if you wanted this to be your career, right? So I think that's the thing that bothered me. It's not just like he's going to cover his costs. I mean, there's the time. Like, I'm sure if you took the amount of money that you say you're going to make this season, you divide it by the hours you put into it, you're probably getting paid like slave wages, right?
I mean, I've done that calculation several times, and even if you just included the work to redo the website so that it's faster, better looking, and easier to use with some bugs, sorry about the bugs, it still is like way below minimum wage. I'm not trying to talk about how much I make or whatever, but it's just like it just never feels good when people try to compare the amount of money and stuff like that. And the other thing that I want to say is that what did happen. If we look at season 4, we had 211 teams. As of this morning, this season has 100 teams. And any e-commerce conversion rate, if you had 50%, you would be a fucking hero wherever. Bleep
Right.
that out later in the replay
Not going
or whatever.
Nope. That's staying.
You would be a hero. You'd be hoisted up on chairs.
Right.
And, and so like when I look at it, my goal was only to get 48 teams. If I got 48 teams, I would have been a happy camper and I would have kept pushing forward. After, and then like you're getting all these posts everywhere. People are going, at Superjova, do you think you're gonna get enough teams? I'm like, yes, I do. Come on, like, hold on, let's wait a little bit. It's like a week away, and then that final weekend, like it just hockey sticked, like it doubled from what I was happy with, which is like, boom, everybody in 3 days, and I'm like, wow, where was that? So really, I learned a lot about that, how like the snowball effect of every team that signs up early, and then as the pressure builds, it just hockey sticked at the end. I didn't see that coming.
I think there were a couple things that contributed to that. And I tried to say this a couple times when people were up, well, there's not a lot of teams yet. Like first, it was summer, right? It was like right after July 4th too. And in my experience outside of chair league, in rec leagues, because I was involved in my soccer club heavily. People in the summer don't sign up for things. They're just like, dude, it's summer vacation. I don't want to deal with that. And they sign up later, closer to the start time, and things like that. So I'm happy you got what you got. I was gonna be one of my questions compared to last season. How many teams you got this season?
Yeah, we hit 100 this morning. So
that's awesome.
That was like what my friends were telling me I was gonna hit on the opening week, and I was like, there's no way. Like I believed in it. I believed in it the whole time. If it was 8, I thought it was going to be 8 teams across every division, 48 teams total, and I'm like, that's a success metric for me.
Right.
So to double that, I'm happy as a clam over here, and it
You
really
have to be.
to me, it pushes me forward to believe in it even more. What's the next steps? What am I going to implement next? What do people want? How can I make Division 1 better? How can I keep learning so that the next time we do Heroes of the Storm, we can pull off 5 days a week? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday leagues, just like you would experience if you join a soccer league, you could choose your day. Then open that up to Overwatch. We fill the gaps wherever Heroes isn't. We put Overwatch League. Then you go to PUBG, fill out the gaps where everybody else isn't. And eventually you could spend your entire time never playing quick match, never playing anything again, and actually contributing to communities and playing in chair league and having all these different leagues that you're in, and all managed in one spot with the same interface. And it's just like this rec league, not only just in Heroes of the Storm, but name a game that's a team game, and that's where I want to go.
And as someone who just installed PUBG last week and is going to get his feet wet there, I'm pretty excited that you're talking about potentially expanding to games like that too.
I know a big streamer. I got to contact him because we grew up and played soccer together, and I want to ask him what does he think about that idea, because it would be pretty sick.
There's a lot of momentum behind PUBG right now.
Oh, yeah. So I hope it's not like a internet bubble of '99 or whatever. The .com burst. I hope that's not what it is.
Who knows?
Right.
One thing I wanted to say too, as a player in chair league, I like the fact that it's gone pay to play, because to me, I'm just going to use a bit of a poker analogy. It's kind of tough to play poker when there's no value in the chips. But now that there's actually value in the chips, even if they're like pennies or small amounts, people take it a lot more seriously, right? Like they're not just like throwing their chips around. They're not showing up for weeks and stuff. I feel like you're going to get a lot less no-shows, a lot of people taking it more seriously too. So I think it's going to be higher quality of team participation, even though there's less teams. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You're still going to get that match every week. And I think they're going to be high quality games too.
Oh yeah, it seems that way too. I mean, even Liqiud before we started was like, I was surprised that the game I was just casting went to best of 3, and it's like, I don't know if that's going to be that rare anymore. It's going to be pretty competitive, and I'm super happy. It's always been a complaint by the random people in Reddit, who don't actually play chair league, but then tell the stories that grandmasters kill everybody, because I only know of one instance that ever happened. But I already forgot my point. But that's going to happen. I promise you that'll happen.
I lose my train of thought all the time. I just try and stall for time as it comes back. But
Right.
we're starting to run out of time a little bit. So I just have one, I guess, final question for you. Is there anything, I mean, I guess you've teased a little bit of what your plans are for Chair League come in the future, but is there anything that you're thinking of down the road implementing in Chair League that you'd like to get off your chest too?
Yes, I think people. So like, there's been like conflicts in what direction I want to take this, And I thought like another way to bring in monetization was going to be just throwing big tournaments that more like your regular tournaments. But then I'm glad I never went down that, because Chair League isn't a tournament platform. It's a league platform, weekly scheduled leagues, and so. What I will bring back is the idea of that holiday chair extravaganza that happened in December, and I'm actually going to precursor that with a Halloween event in October. And I think the Halloween event would span somewhere between 1 and 3 weekends, where you would commit time to play. Maybe the first, just our knockout real quick, get like half the teams out in 2 weekends, and then that third weekend in that tournament. It's just like straight games, boom, 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 boom. And what I want to do, the same style. The more people who join, the more rewards that would get given out. Like trick or treat bags or costumes or whatever. I gotta figure out what those prizes would be. But I think bringing back holiday events, even 4th of July, Easter, stuff like that, is something I want to do. I truly do think that. Even with these Friday night friendlies, which has been a concept I had not marketed yet, people are still joining that queue. I do think that it can be possible that Chair League could be a 7-day-a-week thing for anybody, and so that's kind of the direction I'm trying to take it. It might not be filled. Your entire week might not be filled with just heroes. That could probably be boring. So I think a natural step would be introducing a Monday, Wednesday Overwatch League sometime in November or October.
Oh God! Now I have to learn how to play Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty soon, game companies are gonna be going, "Hey, Chair League, put this out.
Yeah.
We've got this new game. Put a league out for it."
I'm bad at Tracer and HOT, so I can't imagine I'll be any better in Overwatch yet. So, Superjova, thanks so much for coming on the show and lending your time. For those of you who don't know where to go to sign up for Chair League, Superjova, why don't you tell us where they can go to sign up, where they can follow you? Oh, I want one of those candy bars.
Well, we're sponsored by Yo-Yo. I don't know.
I was thought you were serious for a second. I was like, really?
So you can go to chairleague.com, click the login link, sign up with your Twitch account, and you're in. And then you can create a team, join the league, and start having fun. We'll probably have to get a testimonials page up, so you don't have to believe me. You can believe anybody.
Well, I'll put a testimonial up there for sure. How about Twitter? Do you have a Twitter handle that you use? I know you don't use one personally, but I believe you got one for Chair League, right?
Yeah, I do have a personal one. I don't really use it, so I guess I'll just pitch the @ChairLeague on Twitter. You can also like us on Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know you had a Facebook page.
Not many people do.
We'll keep an eye out.
You can find all these links at the bottom of chairleague.com too, if you can't remember Chair League.
All right, well, thanks again, Superjova, for coming on. Thanks, everyone who watched this live. For those of you that are catching this live, we are going to rebroadcast this again during our next show, next Wednesday as well, during our regular time slot. But everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you around.